Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy Poncho, back at you again with another video. This is the story of 5 men who've recently been jailed after carrying out 15 cash machine explosions across Greater Manchester, Yorkshire, North Wales and Cheshire. They stole £429,000 from the 15 ATM machines between March 2018 and February 2019, and all of these took place between midnight and 5 AM. Only 57,000 out of the 429,000 has been recovered. So to be honest, they've got away with some big sums of money. I think it works out to be about 75 grand each. But is it really worth the time? I personally wouldn't do it. Also, only 7 of the 15 heists were successful. The gang had also caused tens of thousands of pounds worth of damage to the premises which were targeted, many of which were co-op stores. Lewis Merkin, 33, Philip Clark, 32, Ryan Wilson, 31, Michael Cash, 30, have each been jailed for 10 years and 8 months for conspiracy to cause an explosion likely to endanger life or property and conspiracy to commit burglary with intent to steal. Martin Goldstraw, 43, has also been jailed for 5 years and 4 months for conspiracy to commit burglary after he assisted the group by stealing cars for them to use in an operation. He was involved in 4 burglaries involving 5 vehicles, some of which were high-powered BMWs and Audis. He also provided lifts to the gang prior and following the offences. The court was told how the gang had used a static caravan at the Golden Sands Holiday Resort in Rhyl as their headquarters, and they was told how this location was perfect for operations. This is because they could strike Cheshire, Greater Manchester, Yorkshire and Wales. It was also a way they thought of staying off Greater Manchester Police's radar after hitting their target, and was a perfect place to lie low. During the time of the heist, it was also said that they had mingled with families at the holiday resort, which is crazy to think, to be honest. Now you picture this, you've gone with your children, right, to a caravan resort. You know, you're having a good time with your family, you know, you might get chatting to a couple of people there, oh, you okay, oh, whatever. You might have a couple of games of pool with them, you might have even ate food with them, who knows. But little do you know, they're planning GTA-style heist, blowing up cash machines, and walking away with hundreds of thousands of pounds. That's the most baffling thing I've ever heard of. At the caravan park, they would keep tools such as machetes, crowbars and axes, as well as balaclavas, dark clothing and gloves. They would use these tools to attack the ATMs in early hours of the morning before piping gas into them, causing an explosion. Sergeant Rick Castley of Greater Manchester Police's Serious and Organised Crime Group said, the gang was very organised. Stockport offenders, but they set their base up at a caravan site in Rhyl. We believed they would go from Manchester to the caravan, do all the precursor activity, get the stolen vehicles, get the clothing. They would then commit the offence, then go back to Wales to be out of the area. If they were travelling over several boundaries covered by different police forces, they would think they were safe. They might be well known in Manchester, but not Cheshire or North Wales. The gang was caught after an investigation named Operation Cass was triggered by Greater Manchester Police following a spike in ATM offences in mid-2018. From March 1st, 2018 to the gang's arrest on February 15th, 2019, there were a total of 36 attacks on ATMs across Greater Manchester in which there was an explosion. There were 7 in Cheshire and 6 in North Wales. Not all of these offences were involving the gang. Since the men were detained, there have been none in Greater Manchester, 3 in Cheshire and 1 in North Wales. Andrew Smith, prosecutor, told the court, Operation Cass was launched to investigate organised crime groups who were targeting ATM machines. The group would attend at the scene, often in stolen vehicles in the early hours of the morning. They would fill the cash machine with a gas mixture which would explode the machine so that they could steal the cash from inside it. The group paid little or no regard to the damage they were causing and demonstrated no insight into the risk of harm or even possibility of death to those who lived nearby or who were near the machine at the time. The group were organised and each played their own specific role, using their own tactics. One of them would use a stopwatch to time the explosion. They targeted 15 ATMs in total, and they managed to steal £429,960 to be exact. It was also heard that the gang had struck twice in one day in villages in West Yorkshire and Wales in March 2018, but failed both attempts. The next 2 attempts also failed, but the court had how the following 5th, on home territory in Stockport, the men then escaped with £91,000. The largest amount they stole from one machine was £100,000 from Co-op Bank in Macclesfield in January this year. Mark Terry, managing director of Cartronics, an ATM operator which had 11 of its machines targeted by the group, told the court in a statement how this type of offence are not simply thefts, but crimes against the community. He then went on to say, it's not simply about the damage of the ATM or the theft of the money, but there is significant damage to property and risk of injury or worse. Police looked through CCTV for offenders in similar clothing in different incidents, and searching through mobile phone data, this is how they eventually caught up with them. At around 4 PM on February 15, 2019, three of the defendants, Philip Clark, Lewis Merkin and Ryan Wilson, were arrested after a stolen VW Golf pulled up outside the post office on Lees Road in Oldham. One of them got out and started moving towards the cash machine, attacking it. Within seconds, the men were pinned to the ground by armed police. The court was told that all five, Munkin, Clark, Wilson, Cash and Goldstraw, had criminal records. And in 2010, Lewis Munkin and his associate Philip Clark were part of a team jailed for carrying out 20 robberies and stealing £1.8 million worth of jewellery. In mitigation, Richard Varden said his client Lewis Munkin was a father and had used his time already spent in custody, quote-unquote, constructively. He then goes on to say, "I invite the court to take into account his young age, his difficult background, his early guilty plea, and have some regard to his own family position." Defending Philip Clark, defense lawyer Rachel Foe told the court how her client was only released from custody on another matter in June 2018. Because of this, he was not present at the inception of the conspiracy, she added. She then goes on to say, "He's expressed his remorse, which is genuine, and has indicated motivation to change." Richard Orme, defending Ryan Wilson, said, "No actual injury was caused to anyone, and there was no intention to cause any injury." Michael Knowles, defending Michael Cash, had said, "He has two young children, and whilst they are relevant convictions, his most recent one dates back to 2010. Sebastian Gardner, defending Martin Goldstraw, had said that his client has two young children and that he's worked all of his life. Passing sentence, Judge John Potter said, "The two conspiracies describe actions of an organised criminal gang of which each of you were a member. The purpose of the gang was to target ATMs in order to steal large amounts of money from them. A target ATM would be identified by the group, and then normally in the early hours of the morning, the group would attend at the site of the ATM, using vehicles stolen predominantly. The vehicles had their identification concealed by use of false registration plates. Once at the site of the ATM, the group would then attack the front of the machine, enabling the group to fill the machine with gas, which would then be ignited with a view to cause an explosion. In many cases, that enterprise was successful and the group could then access cash inside the machine. Significant damage was caused to the machines and the premises, and significant risk of harm to others nearby was created. This was organised and professional criminal activity." A static caravan at a holiday resort in North Wales was utilised as the group's headquarters, where the gang would meet to plan out their unlawful activity. As a result of this type of crime, members of the public are caused very great inconvenience. Whilst there was a risk of physical harm to others, no specific intention to harm individuals was apparent. But this does not mean these offences were not extremely dangerous, and it was only by good fortune that no one was seriously injured or killed. Combined, the five were convicted to over 50 years imprisonment. Following the sentencing hearing, Sergeant Rick Castley had put out this statement.
Okay, the five men sentenced here today, a brazen group of criminals whose greed and arrogance has showed no bounds and continue to commit offences across the country. The scale of the operation was considerable. They committed burglaries in several places across Greater Manchester, as well as in areas across Cheshire, Yorkshire and North Wales. The men chose to use explosives to carry out the crimes, which go to show their blatant disregard for the safety of the others in their pursuit of illicit gains. The severity of the offences should not be underestimated, and I want to stress the impact these crimes have on our communities. Their actions cause substantial damage to business premises, and significant inconvenience for business owners and the public, who often depend on the businesses and cash machines to make an honest living and go about their daily lives. I hope today's result sends out a clear message to organised crime groups that their actions will not be tolerated and such offending within our communities, and we'll do everything within our power to bring criminals to justice and make Greater Manchester a safer place. We will continue to work with our partners as well as specialists within the industry to disrupt organised crime groups and put a stop to this type of offending. I'd also like to take this opportunity to stress how proud I am of the officers who've been involved in securing this result, including the dedicated teams of Greater Manchester's Serious Crime Division. They played a vital role in what was a painstaking and complex investigation, which has been taking an audacious group of offenders off our streets for a considerable period of time. We are absolutely committed to making Greater Manchester a better place and a safer place, and will continue to do everything possible to ensure criminals of this nature are brought to justice.
What a mad story this is. Literally something that you'd see at a GTA. It literally reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 5 when you're planning a bank heist. Bit crazy how it was in a holiday park. That shit still baffles me. But yeah, would you guys do the time? Would you guys take 75 grand for 10 years in prison? Let's say you do good behavior, you get 5 years. Would you guys do it? Because me personally, I probably wouldn't do it, not for 75 grand. 5 years in prison is definitely not worth 75 grand. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. Give the video a little like. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy at Poncho, and I'm out.